are Mary Ellen Humphrey,
Hello.
Shannon Reber, and I am Susan Landrigan. We're coming to you today from the Innovation Studio at Lakeshore Center for the Arts in Westfield, New York. And today we're going to talk about audiobooks.
Hey, that's my favorite topic.
I'm glad to hear that.
Well, the reason that we're doing this is because my 47th audiobook was released on Friday. 47. And
Wow.
I'm very excited about that. And, I mean, it seemed like a good topic just because a lot of people are, they don't consider listening to an audiobook reading. And I 100% do because that's how I get books.
Wow.
So I consider it an insult to say that it's not reading because it is.
Shannon, do you listen to your own audiobooks?
I do, yes.
And what do you think when you hear a person narrating your story?
It depends on the person.
Okay.
But when I'm listening to it, I remember the story and I remember the feeling, and if the narrator is good, then they bring the story to life and they make it come alive, and it's watching a movie in your head.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot read a book.
Well, I mean, I can, but the letters have to be like inches tall, and it's hard to do. And my face has to be that far away from whatever I'm reading, and it gets I get really bad headaches when I do that. So, I mean,
So
it's
audiobooks
easier.
are much better.
Much better. Much better. Yes.
A lot of people listen to audiobooks, especially driving long commutes and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a great thing. Well, how hard is it to do that, to make your book into an audiobook?
It's actually, it depends. It's not hard to do. The narrator, you write your book, you submit it to, there are several different places that you can submit it to, but I used ACX. It's an Amazon company. And then let's see, I did royalty share. So when I sell a book, me and the narrator actually share the profits.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I just don't sell a lot of books, so it's really hard for most narrators to justify their time to do this. So I've lost several narrators just because I don't sell enough books. But it's easy to do. It's the marketing that's always hard.
Yeah.
For everything.
It
That's the
is.
way it goes.
Yeah. Have there been a increase in audiobooks in recent
Yes.
years? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's an increase in narrators. So the really good narrators aren't getting picked because there's so many out there that, you know, it's a vicious circle.
Well, here's a question. Can the author narrate their own book?
They can, yes.
What do you think about that?
Neil Gaiman. That's what I think about that. Neil Gaiman is a masterful narrator. And there's another one. Hold on. I listened to the books when I was a kid. This Present Darkness and Piercing the Darkness. I can't think of the author's name.
Okay.
He's a Christian dude. So it's like, it's spiritual warfare. And he narrates his books, but he does it like theatrically. So when the demon is speaking, it's this really harsh, yeah, just like that. But it's amazing. He makes it a theatrical production, and it's fantastic.
Well, you know your story. I'm thinking about doing this with
Yes.
my book called Norumbega.
Yes.
Because it's only like 55,000 words.
Okay.
And it's a historical fictional book, and
Right.
and I know the story.
Right.
I wonder if I would be good at narrating it because of the fact that I know it better, more intimately than the reader who's going to be narrating it.
And you know what you want to emphasize,
Right.
and
That's
how
true.
you want it said.
And I hear the voices of the characters in my head because I've created those characters.
Right.
And I also wonder if I did that, if I would go, oh gosh, I should have written it differently.
You do that. Yes,
You
it
do,
does
yeah.
happen quite frequently.
Um,
But that's the thing though, because when I'm listening to the to whatever narrator is sending me the book, you can make changes. You can tell them that doesn't sound right, or you pronounce this word
Okay.
wrong, or you know it. I don't know if it's easy. Because my friend who does it, Brandy Balefire, she's this amazing narrator, and she takes longer than some people, but she's also a teacher, So she's doing this in her spare time, and you know, I asked her if she could help me with a couple of like ads for the books, and she was like, it's actually easier for me to go back in and re-record than it is to find a section in the book and cut that out and paste it into a document.
So you can put an ad in an audiobook?
No, you put an ad on social media for
a
your
piece
audiobook.
of the audiobook.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Okay, I was following.
So,
But
sorry.
But you know, it's interesting because I think when I think of books that I've read, and for some reason I'm thinking of the Narnia series.
Yes.
When I read that, I heard a narrator's voice.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure it was a masculine narrator's voice.
Yep.
I don't know if it's because I knew the author was a man or what, but I don't know if you've had that experience in reading a novel, that your internal voice isn't yours. It's somebody reading it to you.
Yes, very often, yes.
I think that's a sign of a good author, too.
I think you're
if
right,
they
yes.
can
Yeah.
make you think
Yeah.
that.
It's true.
I think Dickens does that. When I read his books, I love him. He's the old-time author, but you hear the story. You hear his, so I don't know what his voice was because he's been dead for a long time.
He
but,
has, yeah.
But I hear this masculine narration, and my brain is going, oh, you know.
I honestly, the last time I read a Dickens book, other than, I think I read Great Expectations.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
And,
yeah.
okay. Well, I read that in high school, and it was a chore when I was in high school, but I keep thinking that I should reread it as an adult and see if my opinion
You
changed.
might like Pip and Miss Havisham.
Yes.
Well, you know, I did it in grad school. I did an independent study. Did 3 different studies. One was poetry. One was books I read when I was young. Now I was in my 50s.
Okay.
And I went back and read some of these books like Fahrenheit 451 and
Yes.
Great Expectations and a whole bunch of them, and analyzed the difference between being a teenager and being a older adult.
Okay.
And it was very interesting because you see and hear the story differently.
Exactly.
I would
Precisely.
imagine you would.
Yeah. You have your life experiences. So you have
Right.
maybe some wisdom and insight into what the author was really saying, which you don't have at 15 or 16.
I wouldn't say I ever got wisdom. I just it never came to me.
Oh,
I don't know why.
I think you did.
It
I
ran
think
away.
some of the classics that we had to read in high school that I really didn't care for, I would see them differently now.
It's
Yes.
true, yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, Tale
Yeah.
of Two Cities. I thought that was gruesome. I don't know if I'd even want to read it again. But
I've never read it.
Oh, it's
not
about
once.
the French Revolution and chopping off heads and all
Oh,
that.
well, that sounds fun.
I have
It kind of sounds like my books. Oh, my
months
goodness.
after that, I still do if I think about it. So.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, but it's interesting. And then there's stories that are timeless because, like Fahrenheit 451,
It's true, yeah.
something to burn, whatever burning books. And we go through these cycles where we have literature that's being attacked and
And banned.
banned. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got off track a little bit. But
But the point we were making though is that audiobooks are going back to stories around the campfire,
Right.
or oral
Storytelling.
history. Yes, oral histories that we wouldn't know if they weren't shared. And so audiobooks are keeping that tradition going, and I love that.
in the timeline of our modern human history, books have only been accessible to the general populace for about 600 or 700 years,
Right.
which isn't very long.
Right.
The printing press in 1400 or 1300.
Mhm.
So, and even then, it took a while before enough books for everybody to be able to have them.
Right.
And but it revolutionized our society.
Yeah.
The ideas that were able to be spread. Before that, it's very interesting because I did in grad school a study on it, and that we had oral histories.
Yes.
Storytelling passed down, and you think of Native Americans that have these wonderful stories that they shared around the campfire to teach young people principles and ideas and history and all that. And a lot of those were done through a mechanism, which is interesting to think of technology, because the technology of the day was the rhythm of the drums, you know.
It's true, yes.
It was the rhyming of the words.
Mhm.
And even we have a little bit of that today when we teach children their ABCs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it's we're using music and rhyme to remember the stories, which I think
That's a good point.
I think
Yeah,
that's
very good point.
Very fascinating.
It is.
Yeah. So now we may lose some of those, like we lose how to add and subtract because we have calculators. We now read and we don't have to necessarily memorize long narrations.
Right.
But they did use that as part of
Exactly,
their brain.
yes.
So maybe they were smarter than we are.
I think they definitely were.
Yeah.
The thing that I always found interesting was in history was the fact that only the upper classes could read. The lower classes were basically just workmen, and their stories, songs and stories were told. Stories were told through songs, and there would be a minstrel who would come through and sing them stories, and that was how they.
Like the ballads. And
Yes, exactly.
And we do, if you think about really good music, well, I shouldn't, it's judgmental, but music that I like, not even better, it's not any better, but there's usually a story. The musician is conveying a story through music,
Exactly.
through the feelings of the notes and the music,
Precisely,
and the
yes,
words that are
yes.
chosen. It's really, it really is a form of storytelling.
It's true.
Yeah.
Actually, country music still does that.
Yes, quite a lot.
Very
yeah.
much so. Yeah.
Yeah, so I always admired musicians. It's not my talent, but I wish it was.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and think about the original storytellers. Gosh, they had to invent language.
Exactly.
And how did that happen? And then they had to invent symbols for things. And then those symbols evolved into letters. And those letters evolved into
a
words.
sound. Yes,
And those
yes.
words evolved into sentences and paragraphs and narratives,
Exactly.
whole stories, over eons of time.
But even different languages.
Yeah.
That still amazes me. Like Chinese is still symbols, and ours are symbols too, but it's just a different kind of symbol.
We've lost whatever that symbol was because now we put a value or an understanding of the sound of that
is
letter or whatever. Yeah. And so there's a magic in storytelling.
There is.
Right?
It's true. It's true.
It's me or you, whoever's telling the story, conveying what's in this brain to your brain in
Precisely.
hopefully an accurate way.
In an accurate way. Yes. Fingers crossed.
But it all depends on something really crucial. It depends on the reader or the
It's
listener.
true.
Right?
It's true. Yes.
Because you listen through your own filter. So I might say I climbed a mountain and I saw this amazing view. You might say, oh, she was looking at the ocean. You might say, oh, she was looking at a plane. We have
Or a forest.
A
Yeah.
forest.
Yeah.
So we all,
Exactly.
the reader or the listener brings to that story probably as much as the author when you think
That's
about
true.
it.
That is a very good point.
So when that early person came running in, oh, mama, I saw, a big antelope or whatever it was, and probably had to, do sign language and all kinds of stuff. But then the other kids came running. Oh, well, let's figure out how we're going to go get it. So they started telling each other stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, maybe we should move on.
I think we should.
Well, that went by fast.
It did. Our word for today
Hey.
is incognito.
It's a good word.
When your true identity is kept secret, it's through the use of a different name or...
Yeah. I think we're incognito and we didn't even know it.
or disguise. Okay. Well, thank you for spending time with us today. We value your feedback. See you next week.